Here, folks, components of fitness, what do we have? Well, the point I want to stress here for you is really about not just the definition, but the quality of the example that you must use. So let's just take our first example. We've got agility. We know our definition is changing direction quickly whilst maintaining control. Fine. Now, the point I really want to get across here is how would we put that into an example? I've got here a netball player, no mark for saying that yet, okay? No mark for saying just simply a netball player. What do we need to do with that example to make it something that's worthy of a mark? Well, what we need to say here is they're dodging left and right. And what impact does that have on their performance? To find space to receive the ball. Now, we could take that further, find space, receive the ball, make another pass and score a goal. It has an impact on performance. Folks, please, with your examples, get your impact in. Let's look at balance. Our definition is maintenance of the centre of mass above the base for support. Look at this, skier leaning forward to keep their centre of mass above their skis, centre of mass above base. In order to, that's a really nice thing for you to get into your answers. In order to prevent a crash and stay in the race. In other words, have a better chance of winning, right? CV endurance, or sometimes referred to as aerobic power. Look for that term. You might be asked that. Ability of the heart and lungs to supply oxygen to the working muscles. So in order to. Triathlete efficiently delivers oxygen to the gastric nemus when running. In order to work at higher intensities aerobically and prevent obler. Wow, that is a wonderful answer. Work at higher intensities aerobically. Remember, aerobic respiration is described as energy release under low or moderate intensity exercise. So if we can work at higher intensities aerobically and not build up that waste product of lactic acid, then of course that is advantageous. Let's go a touch further. We've got coordination, use different parts of the body together. High jumper arches their back while simultaneously kicking their legs up in order to clear the bar with their lower body. So you see that word, simultaneously. Body parts together. Wonderful. If we get asked about this, can we just get simultaneously into our answer? Big word, bit of a spelling, but worth doing. Flexibility, simply ROM a joint, that's all it is. Hockey goalkeeper shows a wide range of movement in the shoulder by hyperextending to save a slow-moving ball that has already looped over their head and is going into the net. So wow, just picture that. The ball's already gone over their head, they're arching their back with a lot of flexibility, and they're reaching backwards to maybe try and tip it over the bar. What a beautiful example and application. Now I think I do have it here. Let's keep it going. Muscular endurance, notice the term dynamic strength, completely interchangeable. Ability of a muscle to undergo repeated contractions without fatigue. So the Olympic rower repeatedly contracts the bicep to flex the elbows and pull against the water without fatigue, meaning they maintain their pace in the crucial last 100 meters. So look at that in order. So they don't slow down in the last 100 meters and then maybe they finish in the lead or whatever. Power or explosive strength or anaerobic power. It's strength times speed. I'll just put that in there. Strength times speed. 100-meter sprinter applies maximal force to the block at the highest speed possible to accelerate them ahead of their opponents. So look at that effect of this particular component of fitness. Reaction time, time between initiation, time taken to initiate a response to a stimulus. Basketball player reacts quickly to their opponents and drive to the basket by starting to push off their left foot so they can begin to move to their right to block the route to the basket and prevent 2 points. Prevent 2 points. Notice here, by being fast in the reaction, we're preventing an impact in the performance. Maximal strength, ability to overcome a resistance. Weightlifter begins to raise a world record weight off the ground by applying maximal muscular force to the bar with the upper and lower body. Okay, so a really sort of nice application. Static strength, an alternative form of strength, of course, ability to hold the body part in a static position or maximum force that can be applied to an immovable object. Rugby prop forward applies isometric contractions on the legs against their front row opponent for the first 5 seconds of a scrummage before the scrum starts to move. Look at that, before the scrum starts to move. Wow, beautiful example. And finally, speed. Maximum rate at which an individual is able to perform a movement or cover a distance in a period of time. The table tennis player, not probably the first one we think of, moves rapidly to their left to reach a hard hit loop shot before the ball passes their paddle and wins the point for the opponent. So here, they're using that speed to actually stay in a point and prevent an impact, negative in this case, on their performance. Right, I need to change canvas. Short break. So I think this is an interesting question. Why? Because we're asked to explain how. Explain how a rock climber, quite a challenging example, uses balance, quite a challenging component of fitness in their performance. Let's have a look. Rock climbers need to keep a wide base of support. So that's straight from our definition, right? And they do this by having their feet on different parts of the rock face. We could even say here, right, you could say they have 4 points of contact, right? Nice wide base. The climber also keeps their centre of mass vertically above the base. Now we have that in our definition. And they do this by not leaning too far to either side. Finally, the climber can keep centre of mass close to the wall and should avoid leaning back to maintain balance. Wow, what a wonderful answer that is. And that answer clearly expresses the meaning and how you would apply balance. So it's not just about learning a definition, it's also about understanding how different performers will use that notion in their performance. Now, justify is an AO3 skill. So let's be really clear here. An AO3 skill means we effectively have to go a bit further. We can't just say what, in this case, coordination is. We can't just apply it. We've got to say why it's impactful in tennis. So those examples are important. The player needs to coordinate the movement of the arms, legs, and hands to strike a first serve cleaning with power. Notice here, combining body parts. I know my definition. They must be able to run forward at pace while looping their racket back with their arm when trying to successfully reach a drop shot. So they're not just running forward, they're combining that with racket head preparation. And they must be able to coordinate their steps and arm action to get underneath a lob shot in order to be in the right position to smash. So notice here the combination of different body parts in 3 different examples. And I had to do that 3 times to get 3 marks. That's a tough question. This is tough. So not only must you get that definition clear, you must have the impact and performance. Notice here, to win the point, they must be able to here successfully reach a drop shot. They must be able to here first serve cleanly, impact on the performance in this case by combining body movements together. Now finally, a 6 marker here, okay, and I really urge you to have the mark scheme in front of you and the marking guidance. Evaluate again. Evaluate is look for the strength, the weakness, and the importance of speed and flexibility for a gymnast. Now let's just have a look at my answer. I'm not going to go through it word by word, but notice what I've done. I've defined. Say what these things are. That's going to help me in my AO1. Secondly, here, why does a gymnast need speed? This is the application, they need at the start of a tumble routine, they need to build momentum so they can do more rotations in the air. Have a look at that little section. That is a wonderful expression of AO2. So it's worth saying here that I'm chunking my answer. Okay, I've put AO1, now I'm doing AO2, of course, with the different components, and then I'll go into AO3. Now, here, I'm actually now going to do also more speed means greater height when performing a vault. So I should have included that as well. So the gymnast has more time to perform aerial moves like somersaults, twists before landing. So why do they need flexibility? They need to do this things such as the splits or back bends. The more flexibility, the higher points they are likely to score, but the less likely they are to get injured. Flexibility even helps a gymnast perform harder moves easily. Okay, so we've put that in there. So we're in essence, we've got our, if you look at the speed bit here, I've got my AO1, I've then got my my AO2, and then here on the speed, I've got my AO3, and then effectively we repeat that with our flexibility. Here's our AO1, then we've got our AO2 in there, and then of course we put our AO3 in there as well. Okay, so effectively we are chunking our answer. We're making sure that we cover those bases. But notice what I put in here. Both speed and flexibility are important to the gym. Now, I wasn't asked to compare, but it's nice for my conclusion. I believe that flexibility is more important than speed because it's fundamental to every move in gymnastics, not just some. However, speed remains important, especially for gaining more height in jumps or vaults. It should also be remembered that other components such as agility and muscular endurance are critical. So I'm even bringing other things. Now, these are AO3 skills. Okay, so I'm not linking, I'm not